We continue discussing Seth Stephens-Davidowitz, Don't Trust Your Gut. The topic of this section is child education. Our perspective on child education has been quite different from conventional beliefs. We emphasize that your influence on your children is limited. Activities like assisting with homework, enrolling in tutoring classes, and restricting video game time may not be meaningful. However, despite these arguments, there is persistent parental anxiety, always feeling the need to do more for their children. Seth's book, backed by data analysis, sheds further light on this issue. The core understanding is clear. A child's destiny is largely their own, and the role parents play is minimal. Yet, there's a crucial finding in this section. If you insist on doing something for your child, there is one thing that is most worthwhile, even though it might demand significant effort. Let's start from the beginning. It's been noted that, in the first year after a newborn's birth, parents face around 1750 challenging decisions. These decisions range from choosing the baby's name, breastfeeding, sleep training, selecting a pediatrician, to even deciding whether to share the baby's photos on social media. Parents consider each decision as crucial, fearing that any lapse might hinder their child's future. The parental anxiety is palpable, believing that they must do more for their children. To scientifically analyze the extent to which parenting methods influence a child's future, let's quantify it. Assuming a child with average aptitude would typically grow up to be a blue-collar worker, or a flight attendant, earning $59,000 annually. The average income in the U.S. parents, dissatisfied with this prospect, aspire to be exceptional, and provide the best scientific upbringing. The question is, how much can parents' efforts elevate the child's future position? 1. Slightly above average, such as becoming a registered nurse or dental assistant, earning $75,000 annually. 2. Upper middle class, becoming an engineer or judge, earning $100,000 annually. 3. Wealthy, like a surgeon, earning $200,000 annually. Surprisingly, big data research indicates that even with the best parenting methods, the most likely outcome is elevating the child from a flight attendant to a dental assistant, increasing the annual income from $59,000 to $75,000. In simpler terms, if parenting methods demand substantial resources, it might be more effective to invest that money directly for the child. This finding contradicts common intuition. It's common to find families where all the children are successful, with the eldest being a doctor, the second a scientist, and the third a renowned director. People often attribute this success to effective parenting methods, and may ask for advice on raising children, similar to stories like Harvard girl Lu Yiding. However, a crucial question is overlooked. Are the children successful because of good parenting methods, or is it due to favorable genetics? Academia has long conducted robust studies, particularly by examining identical twins. These twins, with nearly identical genes, if raised in different families, showcase more similarities than differences in achievements, chosen professions, hobbies, and lifestyle habits. Another approach involves studying adoption. A family with 3 biological children also adopts a 4th child. Parents use similar parenting methods for all 4 children, but the adopted child doesn't achieve the same level of success as the biological ones. The harsh reality is that the impact of parenting is not as significant as genetic factors. The influence of genetic factors on a child's future income surpasses that of parenting methods by 2.5 times. In essence, this suggests that even if you neglect your child from birth, and let other families raise them, the child's future will still largely align with their innate traits. An analogy is drawn, likening a child to a young tree. It's easier to mistreat and ruin the tree than to ensure it grows exceptionally well, which isn't solely determined by your efforts. Unless you're a super-rich individual. Donating $1 billion to Harvard, for instance, might secure your child's admission, and subsequently, with the right capabilities, position them as your successor in the company, altering their destiny. Beyond such scenarios, parents have limited influence. So, what about all the so-called scientific parenting experiences parents constantly learn about? Are they useful? Not really. Extensive data analysis and randomized experiments indicate that breastfeeding does not have a significant long-term impact on children. Watching television doesn't have a clear long-term effect on exam results. High cognitive games, like chess, don't necessarily make children smarter. Previous studies suggesting benefits of bilingual education on intelligence have been challenged by recent large-scale meta-analyses. In summary, raising all aspects of a child's environment by one standard deviation only increases their future income by 26%. While one standard deviation is significant, covering 68% of the population, raising it to 95%, it means that being noticeably better than the average doesn't drastically change the child's income. From a flight attendant making less than $60,000 to a dental assistant making just over $70,000. Relying on technology doesn't beat relying on genetics. Now, considering this, the fuss about tutoring classes and calligraphy courses seems insignificant and only adds unnecessary worries. But you might think, no, I must do something for my child. In all these decisions, is there one decision that is the most important? Yes. The impact of this one decision constitutes 25% of all your influence on your child. Get this right, and you've done a great service to your child. This decision is where you choose to live. In China, there's a saying, Mencius's mother chose the neighborhood. In Africa, there's a proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Are these scientifically accurate? To determine the impact of neighborhoods on a child's growth, genius-level research comes into play. Harvard professor Raj Chetty, an Indian-American economist born in 1979, devised a powerful method to understand the influence of communities on a child's growth. Leveraging tax-related data provided by the U.S. Internal Revenue Service for all Americans, Chetty precisely knows each child's parents' tax records, where the child spent each year of their childhood, and how much they earn annually after growing up. Chetty's brilliance lies in focusing on a fascinating subset: siblings who experienced moving homes during their childhood. Suppose a family has two children. When the elder is 13 and the younger is 8, the family relocates from Los Angeles to Denver. Now, the elder's childhood is predominantly in Los Angeles, while the younger spends a significant portion in Denver. If Denver is more conducive to raising children, then essentially, the younger sibling spent 5 more years in a better community. We can anticipate that the younger one's future income will be higher than the elder's. Right? Of course, for any specific family, this calculation might not be meaningful due to various factors influencing a child's future. The younger one might be naturally more intelligent, and you can't entirely attribute the income gap to the community. However, if thousands of families move from Los Angeles to Denver, on average, the younger siblings would indeed have higher incomes, allowing for such conclusions. In essence, each time a family with at least 2 children moves from one community to another, it's a test for these 2 communities. If the elder sibling fares better than the younger one, it indicates they moved from a good community to a less favorable one. Conversely, if the elder sibling lags behind the younger one, it suggests they moved from a less favorable community to a better one. Chetty has access to data for all Americans, and with this, he convincingly demonstrates that communities significantly impact a child's growth. Chetty and his team found that there are 5 cities in the U.S. most suitable for raising children, with Seattle, Washington, topping the list. If you move your family from an average location in the country to Seattle, your child's income will increase by 11.6% when they grow up. This accounts for the pure impact of the community, excluding direct parental influence. Chetty even created a website, where you can check the influence of the growth environment in every neighborhood in the U.S. on a child's income at the age of 35. Choosing where to live is the most important thing you can do for your child. Mencius's mother chose the neighborhood, and this is correct. How exactly does the community influence children? Is it because of school districts? Is it because children can play with certain peers? No. Chetty's research reveals that, when considering whether neighbors have a positive impact on your child, 3 crucial predictive factors are: 1. The percentage of neighbors with college degrees. 2. The percentage of 2-parent families. 3. The percentage of people returning census forms on time. In other words, if the community has a higher number of college-educated individuals, more 2-parent families, and is generally reliable, it becomes a community with a positive impact on children. Interestingly, these indicators focus on adults in the neighborhood, not the children. Chetty's insight is that, the true impact of the community on children is that, they see adults around them as role models. There is much more direct evidence supporting this. For instance, if there are inventors among the adults surrounding a child, the child is more likely to become an inventor when they grow up. Moreover, if those adults are inventors in the medical field, the child is more likely to invent medical devices in the future. Although few girls become inventors, if a girl has a female inventor around her, the probability of her becoming an inventor significantly increases. Consider the significant issue of single-parent households among African Americans in the U.S. Many black males abandon their wives and children. However, if a black community has many two-parent families, even if a boy is from a single-parent household, seeing other males being responsible fathers would lead him to believe that being a responsible father is the norm. In turn, he would become a more reliable person. This is the power of role models. You might wonder why it has to be the community. Aren't parents also role models? There's a subtle difference. Children often have a rebellious attitude towards their parents, enjoying challenging them. However, they quietly mimic the adults around them. Hopefully, this section alleviates your parenting anxiety. The reality is that most things parents do have little impact on their children. If there is an impact, it's in the community you choose for your family, and the kind of adults you allow your child to consider as role models. Looking at it from another perspective, now that we've grown up, how many of us would blame our parents for not sending us to programming classes, resulting in a low salary? Children of the future won't complain about us. However, at the societal level, there's a concerning aspect. People are unequal in opportunities from birth. This is an unfairness that exists from the very beginning. A recent book, Genetic Lottery, delves into this issue. The data presented here is all about the US, but for China, the impact of the community is likely more crucial. Keep in mind that, while some states in the US may be rich or poor, with almost identical per capita GDP across states, China experiences significant developmental disparities among regions. The exposure a child gets to outstanding adults in a particular place may vary greatly. This concludes the entire content of this section. In the next part, we will discuss structural opportunities for becoming wealthy.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.